And one of the participants at the conference asked me if I would do a little work with him. So let's find out more about it. Welcome. Your first name is?
Bob
Bob
Robinson.
How can I help you today, Bob?
Well, I'm having difficulty in self-hypnosis. I do not have the difficulty with my clients, but I have no empathy with them. I don't know what's happening because I have no ability to hypnotize myself, apparently.
Well, what you just said was, there were a couple of statements there, true and false. You can't really be the most effective hypnotherapist unless you can hypnotize yourself, program yourself, and generate results from your subconscious mind. There is a film that was made by the British Broadcasting Corporation when they did a series on hypnosis a few years back. And they show a case history about a man who has a loss of speech, hysterical loss of speech, whose mother died in a fire in her little apartment. He feels guilty that he wasn't there, and in trance he is able to speak. The hypnotist is an English physician who is a past president of the British Society of Medical and Dental Hypnotists. This first film was done as a pilot film, and I saw it one night in London when I was there. I had tuned in because I had seen in the paper that a film on hypnosis. In this segment, he brings the patient's wife into the room, and he hypnotizes the man. He says, "Would you like to see him talk now that he's hypnotized?" And then he says, "You see, he can't hear me when I'm talking to you. He can only hear me when I talk to him." Now, every hypnotist that ever sees that film knows that that doctor has never been hypnotized, or he wouldn't have said that. The hypnotized subject hears everything because hearing is a mechanical process. The sound travels through the air, sound waves, strikes the ear, hammer, anvil, stereo, auditory nerve, etc. Now, as to listening or paying attention or being responsive to, that's another aspect that we add to hearing, you see. If you live in the path of the airport landing pad, you hear the planes come in. But after a few weeks of living there, you no longer are listening to them. You're still hearing them, but you're not focusing on them. And I have visited people who live in such areas in this town, and in a single afternoon I'd say, how do you stand it? That noise would drive me crazy. And they say, well, after a few weeks, you don't hear it anymore. What they mean is, you don't listen to it anymore.
No paying attention.
It doesn't capture your attention any longer, you see. How do people work in factories where there's tremendous sound levels? Have you ever noticed, after they've worked there a few weeks, they can talk to each other in almost a conversational tone and hear each other perfectly. So it is true that to be the most effective hypnotherapist, you've got to know how to go into trance and direct your own subconscious mind to work in your behalf. Because when you do that, it gives you a feeling of confidence that radiates outward. Aside from the subjective experiences that you have, you know out of your own experience that there's an inward intelligence that is your divine connection, and that you, through entering into this, I call it state of grace, have an ability to direct that energy so that it works for you instead of working against you. Now, the second part, what was that you said?
Well, the empathetic association with the individual, and I said that I don't have the ability, or I haven't found the ability
That
to
was part
hypnotize
one that
myself.
I'm just covering. What was the second thing? I said that's true and false. The second part was false. What was it?
But I don't have the ability to hypnotize myself.
I don't have the ability. That's the false part. Everyone has the ability. You see, the ability to go into your own subconscious mind is a natural ability. There's no such thing as a good subject or a bad subject. Now, I know that's difficult for you to accept, because when you take the so-called authorities like Professor Hilgard of Stanford, he says hypnotizability is randomly distributed throughout the general population. Now, randomly distributed means there's good subjects and there's bad subjects. I'm in the work 40 years. I used to believe that lie. I don't anymore. Because all that can happen to anyone is that their natural capacity, meaning according to your nature, their natural capacity to enter trance can be inhibited. How is it inhibited? Through misunderstanding generated largely by the books of those former authorities. And by common subconscious fears. The fear of losing control, the fear of being controlled, the fear of releasing some aspect of themselves that they feel might be embarrassing or shameful, what I call the Jekyll and Hyde fear. Fear of sexual assault. So all of these fears, singly or in combination, can inhibit the person's ability to go into a trance. Now there's one more thing. You see, in America and certain other English-speaking countries, all psychotherapy begins, the training begins with the psychoanalytic concept of the unconscious mind. We are told the unconscious mind is made up of the id, the ego, and the superego, and that the id is a pool of restless and primitive and destructive energy, and we must spend our lives attempting to re-socialize that energy, else our lives will be ones of havoc and destruction. The problem with the theory of the unconscious is it is Marxist and atheist. Today, of course, the euphemistic word for atheism is humanist. Because there is a refusal, an unwillingness, an inability to recognize the divine nature of the individual, and because the theory of the unconscious is used as a club to control the general populace through coercion, which goes like this. If I'm the psychotherapist and you're the client, and you try to talk to me about your unconscious, I can say or communicate this message. Don't try to tell me about your unconscious. You don't know anything about your unconscious because it's unconscious to you. I studied about the unconscious and even had my own unconscious analyzed. I'm the only one can tell you about your unconscious. So shut up and keep writing the checks.
I've heard that before.
The other part of it is this. Whenever any other system of mental, emotional, or spiritual healing is presented, sooner or later, the psychiatric, psychotherapeutic community will find ways to get into the media and say, but they're not trained in the dynamics of the unconscious. And they may be well-meaning, but they're a threat to public health and safety. That's said about every alternative human service, health science provider, if they're not part of the establishment. So out of that comes a belief in many people. I've got this terrible, primitive, destructive id, and if I go into a trance, Lord knows, all hell might break loose. That's called the fear of losing control. Control of what? Control of the id. This is where resistance to hypnosis comes in, or inhibition. Now comes the next part. You, sir, have made it more difficult for yourself because you became a hypnotherapist and were hypnotizing people before you knew and could utilize your own trance state. Therefore, your misunderstandings about hypnosis have been compounded by the fact that your knowledge about it remains objective, cognitive, intellectual, rather than that of your personal subjective experience, which amplifies and enriches the rest of that learning and validates it, you see. What sayest thou?
This is why I don't have the rapport with my clients that I want.
That's it.
So rather than say I can't hypnotize myself, I will say, so far I have been unable to.
All right.
Which I think indicates that I still have a desire to learn and to better myself so that I can help more people.
Yeah. I'm going to say one more thing. And you said, I think. Now, I agree that relationship, rapport comes out of the trance state. It's a French word. It's called a sympathetic vibration. But prior to that is relationship. That is when you sit down with that person, as we're sitting here together now, can you quickly communicate to them that you're there because you believe it's your mission to be there and to give help based on your knowledge, understanding, your wisdom, and most importantly, your caring for them. That's called agape, or divine love. And that they're there because they ask your help. They want your help in that area of their existence, however small it may be. They feel helpless. How quickly can a relationship be developed that the client can overcome any subconscious fears, quickly have a feeling of trust sufficient to surrender, because that's what we ask for. That you surrender to your own inner being, which has its own protective devices, will not allow you to act against your own value system. In that surrender, and I think this is what you're really asking for, you come to recognize that you, sir, lack control. Rather than being in control, you lack control. Now, why do I say that? Because you can't relinquish control when you want to,
Okay.
in your own behalf, in your own desire, because you want to, because you need to. That's a person with control that can exercise it when it's appropriate and can relinquish it when you're appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give you perhaps a man-to-man kind of illustration. In physical lovemaking, you don't consciously, intellectually direct yourself to have an orgasm. You allow it to occur. You get out of the way and you let your feeling self take over and take you where you want to go. In a similar way, not identical, but in a similar way, hypnosis is achieved in that same way. You get yourself out of the way and you let it take place. Now, the inhibition that I talked about, most hypnotists classify, based on books they've read, subjects as highly hypnotizable or medium or poorly hypnotizable or not hypnotizable. That's all pure foolishness. Absolute foolishness. Everyone is hypnotizable. And as a professional, it is my obligation to deal with your inhibitions, to penetrate them, to dissipate them, and to hypnotize you. Close your eyes, please. We're going to do a little exercise which can be quite revealing. I will give you the stem of a sentence, and then I want you to complete it. I will ask you to complete it perhaps a number of times. Each time that I do, I'll ask you to put a different ending on it. The stem begins like this. If I ever go into a deep trance, please repeat that.
If I ever go into a deep trance,
Put an ending on it. Quickly.
I hope that I'll be able to accomplish what I'm intending to do.
Start again. If I
Yeah.
ever go into a deep trance.
I use the word I hope. If I ever go into a deep trance, I will accomplish that which I have set out to do.
All right, that's good. Start again. Put a new ending on it.
If I ever go into a deep trance, I will accomplish all those things that will enable me to establish a relationship with the client of trust.
Now, so far, you've said the same thing as an ending in slightly different ways and with little elaborations. So we're looking for additional information. If I ever go into a deep trance.
If I ever go into a deep trance, I will enable myself to accomplish all those things that I desire.
That's exactly the same as the first three.
Same as the first three.
I want you to put a different ending on it. If I ever go into a deep trance.
If I ever go into a deep trance, what is holding me back will be surrendered.
That's good. Start again.
If I ever go into a deep trance, my knowledge will increase.
Good. Start again.
If I ever go into a deep trance, my ability to aid and assist will be enhanced.
Sounds very much like the first four.
Here we go.
Start again.
If I ever go into a deep trance, all of the old social mores and inhibitions will be dispersed.
All right, we'll change the stem slightly now. Once I'm in a trance,
Once I'm in a trance,
put an ending on
I will accomplish all things I have set out to do.
it. Start again.
When I am in a deep trance, I will have accomplished that which I set out to do. Here I'm level, same level.
I'd like you to tell me what is the key word or thought that you continually express with a high degree of frequency.
Relationship,
No? Accomplish.
accomplish, okay.
Now, if we take that as a key word and flop it over on the other side of accomplish, and we take the antonym, what is it?
Failure,
Exactly. So then,
afraid of failure.
yeah, you have now identified your greatest fear. That's a big step, isn't it? Now say it so you can hear it.
I have identified,
Say, I know that I have been afraid of failure.
I know that I have been afraid of failure.
Good, now we have a starting point. Is that true or false?
It's so true.
It's true.
It just came out like a blaze of light.
All right.
Fear of inability to accomplish.
Exactly. You have defined it exactly.
Hmm.
Now I'd like you, with your eyes remaining closed, to just let that fear of inability to accomplish, fear of failure, to start tracking in your mind. Does it relate to any lifestyle, any patterns, any scripts, any systems, any traditions in your family, anything at all that comes to mind? I'm afraid I'll fail.
I'm afraid I'll fail because I have been a failure in the past at many things.
Open your eyes. Your eyes are very moist. There's a lot of feeling up in them right now. It's very important to you to be able to succeed in this work, isn't it?
In this time, yes, because I've done so many things that I've been unable to accomplish what I set out to do. Even my marriage is a failure.
Can you say, much of the time I feel I'm a failure?
Much of the time I feel I'm a failure.
Is that true?
Yes, definitely.
Look at me. Are you ready for me to hypnotize you?
Yes, I am.
Okay, fine. Stand up. Just stand in here a little closer to me. Pull your feet together, if you will. Sleep! Turn loose now. Relax. Let a good, pleasant feeling come all across your body. Let each muscle and nerve begin to grow loose and to limp and so relaxed. The more I rock you, the deeper into hypnosis you're going. I'm going to count from 10 down to 1. As I do, with each number I count, you feel yourself drifting to a much deeper level of hypnotic relaxation and slumber. Number 10. Every muscle and every nerve is loose and limp and relaxed as you feel good. 9. You're relaxing more. with each easy breath that you take. 8, drifting down calmly, quietly, easily, and gently. 7, it's such a comfortable feeling to feel so secure. Number 6, and to know that you're gaining the control now that you've sought for such a long period of time. Number 5, when I reach the count of 1, I'm going to say the word sleep deeply. You'll then be aware you're much deeper than ever before. Number 4, drifting down calmly, quietly, easily. Number 3, when I say the word sleep, I do not mean the kind of sleep that you sleep at night. I am referring to a very pleasant state of mental and physical relaxation that you are experiencing at this very moment. Number 3 and 2, on the next number I'll give the signal. Now get ready. Now number 1, sleep deeply. Now you're deeply relaxed and you feel good. And we're going to establish some signals for you so that you can learn to produce trance for yourself when you want to. I'm going to count to 3. At the count of 3, only your eyelids open. Before we do that, let me change my direction slightly. I'm going to count from 5 down to 1, and as I do, your eyelids lock so tightly closed, the more you try to open them, the tighter they're locking closed. 5, eyelids pressing down tightly. 4, pressing down, sealing shut. 3, sealing as if they were glued. 2, they're locked. The more you try to open them, the tighter they're locking closed. 1, now try to open your eyelids. Satisfy yourself they're locked closed. That's good. Now you've done it. You can relax, let your head drop forward, and go much deeper. And you see how your subconscious mind now is open and highly responsive to good and powerful and positive suggestions, instructions, and directions. I'm going to count from 1 to 3. At the count of 3, only your eyelids open. When your eyelids open, I'll look straight at you and I'll say 2 words. The words are sleep now, and I'll snap my fingers like this. On the finger snap, you'll let your eyelids close down and you'll go deeper in sleep. Even deeper than you are at this very time. At the count of 3, you'll let your eyelids open. I'll look straight at you. I'll say 2 words, sleep now. I'll snap my fingers, and you'll let your eyelids close down, and you'll go deeper in trance, even deeper than you are right now. At the count of 3, then, eyelids open. 1, 2, 3, opening, sleep now. Close them down and go deeper. Each time I say those words, sleep now, and snap my fingers, your eyelids close down, you go deeper into hypnosis. Again at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, opening, sleep now. Close them down and go deeper. That's good. That will always be your signal. When I say those words, sleep now, and snap my fingers, your eyelids close down, you go deeper in sleep. I'm going to pull you slightly here on the right side. Let your right foot take a half step forward. That's good. Again at the count of 3, only your eyelids open. I'll say those words, sleep now, and snap my fingers, and your eyelids close down, you go deeper in sleep again. 1, 2, 3, opening, sleep now. Close them down and go deeper. Each time I say those words, sleep now, and snap my fingers, your eyelids close down, you go deeper in sleep. Again, 1, 2, 3, opening, sleep now. Again, 1, 2, 3, opening, opening, sleep now. And again, 1, 2, 3, opening, opening, sleep now. That's good. And again, 1, 2, 3, opening, opening, sleep now. You're beginning to understand the nature of response. And now, I'm going to ask you to take 2 steps backward until you feel the edge of the chair against the back of your legs. Do it now. That's fine. Now prepare to sit. That's good. And now you're comfortable in the chair. Let your arms grow limp, just like a rag doll. I'm going to raise your right arm, and I will raise it by grasping your thumb. As I raise your arm, let all of the weight of your hand and arm limply hang between my fingers. Then when I drop it, let it drop like a wet rag dropping to the floor, a wet washcloth just plopping to the floor. All right, I'm grasping your thumb. Now I'm lifting your arm. That's fine. As I drop it, let it fall just like a wet washcloth falls to the floor. And when it touches your body, send a wave of relaxation from the top of your head all the way down to the very tip of your toes. And when you do that, you'll double your present level of relaxation. That's fine. Drop it down and send that wave of relaxation from the top of your head to the very tip of your toes. I'm going to raise your left hand and arm in the same way, and once again by grasping your thumb. Let all of the weight hang limply between my fingers, all of the weight of your hand and arm. And when I drop it, send another wave of relaxation from the top of your head to the tip of your toes. Let it drop like a wet washcloth dropping to the floor. Now send that wave of relaxation all the way down to the very tip of your toes. Now you've relaxed your body. I'm going to show you how to relax your mind. In a moment, I will tap your forehead. When I do, I want you to begin counting backward aloud in this manner. You will count 100 and then say, deeper asleep. 99, deeper asleep. After counting just a very few numbers, you will find that the numbers begin drifting into the distance. In fact, by the time you reach 98, or perhaps you'll even get down to 97, you'll find you've relaxed those numbers right out of your mind. Just as you've relaxed your body, you'll find that you have relaxed your mind. All right, get ready now. When I tap your forehead, begin counting from 100 backward, saying the words deeper asleep after each number you count. Begin counting.
100.
That's fine.
Deeper sleep.
Good.
99.
Good.
Deeper sleep.
Let them start fading now.
98. Deeper sleep.
Now you've got to let them fade farther.
No. None there.
None there. That's right. They just faded away, and you relax them right out of your mind. Now I'm going to teach you how to hypnotize yourself.